Secretary of Treasury.
Secretary of Treasury.
Deals with money.
Deals with money.
Hi, and welcome back to Mr. Raymond's Civics SOL Academy, where today we are going to look at the Virginia state government. Now, just like the national government, the Virginia state government divides power into three branches. A legislative branch called the General Assembly to make laws, an executive branch headed by the governor to enforce laws, and a judicial branch headed by the state Supreme Court to interpret laws. For your state exam, you need to be able to identify the structure or how the government is set up, which is pretty much like the national government, and the powers, or basically what the branches are responsible for. And just a reminder, teachers, that this PowerPoint with a variety of resources are available at Teachers Pay Teachers. Click the link in the notes below or search for Mr. Raymond's Civics Academy. The first thing you need to know is that just like the U.S. Constitution, the Virginia state constitution sets up the structure of the state government and distributes power to the three branches. Virginia's legislature makes state laws, and there are a lot more state laws than there are national or federal laws. Again, Virginia's legislature is called the General Assembly, and like the U.S. Congress, it is bicameral. Bicameral, a strange word you need to remember for your exam, which means a lawmaking body with two houses, the House of Delegates and the Senate. Remember, the U.S. Congress has the House of Representatives and the Senate, so this is very similar, except it's House of Delegates, not House of Representatives. The lawmaking process at the national level and state level is very similar, and we will look at how laws are passed in Virginia in an upcoming video. Now, once state laws are passed, it's up to the Virginia executive branch, headed not by a president, but by a governor, to enforce the law. And that's kind of a good way to look at the governor, as being the president for the state. Like the president, the governor is elected to 4-year terms, and here is the current governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe. Like the president, the governor has a group of advisors called the cabinet, who are appointed by the governor, and each oversee specific functions such as commerce or trade, agriculture or farming, education, and health. The governor also has a lieutenant governor who is elected, and they are like the vice president who would take over if the governor couldn't serve. Here is the current lieutenant governor, Ralph Northam, and unlike the president, who appoints his attorney general, Virginia has an elected attorney general who handles legal matters for the state of Virginia. Here is the current attorney general, Mark Herring. Virginia also has a judicial branch made up of the state's court system, headed by the Virginia State Supreme Court, made up of 7 justices. Unlike the U.S. Supreme Court, justices in Virginia do not serve for life. They serve for a term of 12 years, and they are elected by the General Assembly as opposed to being appointed by the governor. There are 4 levels of courts in the Virginia court system. At the bottom are district courts, which handle small claims, juvenile cases, those dealing with kids under the age of 18, and domestic relations, think divorce and family issues. All other trials, both criminal and civil, take place at circuit courts. And these are the courts you are used to seeing on TV, with juries and lawyers providing evidence and witnesses. If a defendant loses at circuit court or in district court, and they feel that the decision was unfair in some way, they can appeal their case to the next level, the Virginia Court of Appeals. This level is a panel of judges who aren't listening to a trial, but are deciding if the defendant had a fair trial the first time. If a defendant loses at the Court of Appeals and still thinks they didn't receive a fair trial, they can appeal to the state Supreme Court. So Americans really live under 2, maybe even 3 levels of government: national, state, and local. We have a word for the fact that we live under a national government and a state government that you need to know for your exam, and that is federalism. And this is our next standard that you need to be able to identify. Federalism means that the national government and the state governments share power. For example, we have a federal legislature, aka Congress, that makes national laws, and each state has a state legislature, like Virginia's General Assembly, that makes state laws. The U.S. Constitution established this principle. After all, when this document was written, there were 13 state governments who didn't want to give up their power to govern. The U.S. Constitution established this principle of federalism, which divides power between the states and the national government. However, the U.S. Constitution made it clear in Article 6, known as the Supremacy Clause, that the national government is supreme or more powerful than state governments. And you have to remember that for your exam. The Constitution contains certain powers that are denied to the two levels of government. For instance, the national government can't control trade within a state, or unlawfully imprison someone, or tax exports. And state governments can't print their own money, or sign treaties with other countries, or create their own militaries. Each level has their own primary responsibilities. For instance, that national government conducts foreign policy with other countries, regulates commerce or trade with other countries, and provides for the common defense in the form of a national military. Meanwhile, states are responsible for public health, safety, such as the police, and welfare programs to help its citizens. However, federalism has evolved over the years as the national government has gotten involved in areas traditionally left to the states, as we see here with former President Bush signing a law known as No Child Left Behind, which dealt with education, an area traditionally controlled by the states. Tensions have risen between the national government and state governments when the national government enacts mandates which require state actions without giving them enough money to carry them out. We have seen this with Obama's Affordable Health Care Act, often called Obamacare, in which certain states did not want to take part. The future of federalism will continue to be debated as questions over which level is responsible for what, but for now, let's get you ready for your exam. What document sets up the government of Virginia? The Virginia State Constitution. How is power divided by the Virginia Constitution? Into three branches, like the U.S. Which branch interprets state laws? The Virginia Judicial Branch. Who is the head of the Virginia Executive Branch? The governor. What is the system called in which the national and state governments share power? Federalism. Which level has been encroaching or kind of taking over into the powers of the other? The national. And that's it. I want to thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe because up next we're going to look at how state laws are made. Just a reminder, teachers, that this PowerPoint with lesson plans, smartboard files, worksheets, quizzes, and additional resources are available at Teachers Pay Teachers. Just click the link below in the notes or search for Mr. Raymond's Civics Academy at Teachers Pay Teachers. Again, thanks for watching, guys. Keep up that good work and you're going to ace that exam.